Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome into the program. Today on the show we have headlines, and later on today we'll also have another podcast available where we will be talking with Scott Schober, the one, the only, our resident cybersecurity expert. So if you want to hear more about the cybersecurity side, and that usually entails anything from recent threats and hacks to how to keep yourself safe. Obviously, the holiday season, a lot of people will be shopping online. It's just going to be a great segment, and we highly recommend that you also check out scottschober.com. But hey, while you're here, let's go ahead and talk about the few stories that we have today. This one has to be quick. I'm under a little bit of a time crunch, but everyone, hey, we hope that you are having a great day. And I should probably mention as well that this upcoming Friday, so that'll be like December 3rd, we're going to take off. I have some personal matters to take care of, but then also on December 24th through January 2nd, which is like a Friday to a Sunday, we traditionally take that time off, and that's the longest we usually take off. So I'm not saying that there won't be anything like live streaming happening during those days, but traditional interviews and stuff like that, companies rarely have people on staff to do interviews. So yeah, we traditionally take that week off as well. But that lull, of course, leads right into CES 2022, where we are already getting companies lined up. We're going to have a lot of interviews, really looking forward to that, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year, even if it is shaping up to be a much smaller event. But hey, it's an event nonetheless, so be sure to check that out in early January. But until then, we still have weeks more of Computer America, and we hope that you enjoy. So, computeramerica.com, social media, give us a like, give us a follow, wherever podcasts are heard, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So everyone, why don't we go ahead and get started with computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. So let's talk about this one, and this is, just a bit of an update. I always like to see how these court cases kind of end up, and you may recall that back in 2018, Match and Tinder, which actually, match made in heaven, the two actually became one company. They, I believe it was Match that acquired Tinder, and well, there was a bit of some legal fudging going on there, where technically Tinder was worth a lot more than they had claimed, and through some clever accounting, or as Match would have you believe, manipulating financial data. So maybe not so smart, but they said that the valuation was artificially lower on Tinder's part, and illegally deny stock options to workers. The plaintiffs also alleged that the interim Tinder chief, Greg Blatt, sexually harassed marketing VP and co-founder Rosette Bamkin in 2016. Tinder fired the employees in response to their lawsuit, and they separately sued Tinder over the assault claims. And by the way, this lawsuit for $441 million includes the financial tomfoolery and the personal tomfoolery that was happening there, which, obviously one should not make jokes about sexual assault in the workplace, and there's been so many cases of that happening. But man, as the CEO of a site and a service dedicated to finding dates, you'd think he could have went somewhere to possibly find a willing and enjoyable evening. But no, he decided to do that there. So with that being said, they said that obviously Engadget has asked Match for a comment. Tinder said it couldn't comment beyond a joint statement in the SEC filing where both companies said they were pleased to have settled the case. Of course, Tinder, of course, settles this for $441 million, and they claim they did nothing wrong, which is always the case when it comes to these legal situations. So obviously it's not the most decisive blow. The original founders for Tinder wanted in the order of around $2 billion, so they only got about a fifth of what they were looking for. But hey, to get this headache out of the way and just get back to business as usual, I'm sure that both sides really are looking forward to it. Now, there's that first story, and the second story, Twitch. Of course, we stream twitch.tv/ComputerAmerica, and we noticed this today as well. But hey, they sent out a press release. It's decent news. For those of you who are complete idiots in Twitch chat, you have a bigger problem now because, well, check this out. Twitch is using machine learning to catch ban dodging trolls. So it's not even so much about the behavior that you do, but more it's about your activity within the chat. I'm sure that's mixed with things like your location, your IP address, a bunch of things, because they've had IP bans for quite a while now. But thanks to things like VPNs and of course just resetting your, asking your ISP for a new IP address, people could still evade bans, and they were, of course, that is against the rules. Once you are banned, you're supposed to be banned forever, not just until you get a new IP address. Now, they said that Twitch will prevent any messages they send from showing up in chat. It will also identify those individuals for streamers and any mods helping with them with their channel. At that point, they can decide if they want to ban the person. By default, possible repeat trolls can send messages in chat, but they too will be flagged by the system. Twitch says creators will have the option to prevent them from sending messages in the first place. So there you go. Banning them before they're actually caught, because, hey, whenever they get caught, they act stupid, and then they go back, kind of act a little bit normal, kind of lie in wait, and then they go back to their old ways before long. So while Twitch plans to turn on suspicious user detection for everyone, the tool won't automatically ban users for streamers. That's by design because it's impossible to create a 100% accurate automated tool. And the tool will learn from actions you take, and the accuracy of its predictions should improve over time as a result. The introduction of the tool follows a summer in which Twitch struggled to contain hate raids. The attack saw malicious individuals use thousands of bots to spam channels with hateful language. In many cases, they targeted creators from marginalized communities. Hate raids became such a frequent feature on the platform that some creators had a day of protest for the company's lack of action. And yeah, I definitely remember seeing those. It wasn't the craziest deal, because obviously streamers could just turn it on to subscriber only mode and things like that. That would obviously get a lot of the spam out of the chat. But yeah, those bots were definitely a problem. And bots on a live streaming platform are always going to cause an issue. So I'm glad that they're taking this seriously and they're looking further into it. And this tool, it uses the magic word: artificial intelligence, machine learning. It uses the magic words to get everyone to say, ooh and ah, this is amazing. So we'll see how that works out. Like I said, we have that ability to do it here as well. And it's pretty cool. Okay, so there's story number 2. Story number 3. Again, a bit of a time crunch. We have like 15 minutes left, so we're going to keep this short. NVIDIA. If you don't know, their GPUs do a little bit more than just running your favorite video game. They actually serve a purpose for supercomputers. GPUs are great at simultaneous processing. They can run multiple things at once. And one of the prime examples of their use case is in weather prediction, weather forecasting, number crunching, data, scientific research, so on and so forth. That's what these giant supercomputers are for. That's why the Department of the Interior builds them every single year to make them more and more powerful. Because, hey, knowing the weather a week, 2 weeks in advance, that saves the government a lot of money. That saves you a lot of headache, before you start planning those events and, just knowing that there's going to be rain 3 days ahead of time. Honestly, it's one of the biggest advancements in technology that we really just kind of take for granted. Before we had people that went to college for 4 years, meteorologists that would look at cool fronts and kind of predict and look at, different numbers and, the barometer and stuff like that and try to guess and maybe get it right. Now we have computers that pretty much do all of that themselves. Obviously, you will never take humans out of the equation completely, but hey, it's gotten a lot better. Now, even on top of that, think about things like hurricanes, tornadoes, severe thunder systems, snowstorms. Yeah, it's very clear that this is very important for a lot of people. And like I said, NVIDIA is the power behind it all. Well, they released a blog post showing that, at NVIDIA last week, the CEO of the company laid out the vision for realizing the multi-million X speedups in computational performance. The breakthrough could solve the challenge of computational requirements faced in data-intensive research. There you go. So, a couple of different ways that they're hoping to do this include drug discovery. So obviously they can actually crunch the numbers and make like a synthetic digital drug to know how it's going to react with other biological systems, cells, the immune system, whatever it may be. And just being able to synthesize hundreds or thousands of drugs at a time, as opposed to, a dozen or maybe 100, that's really going to speed up things like cancer research and chemo, AIDS research, anything that needs very complex drugs. Hey, the simulations are 1,000 times faster, and that's really amazing. And what they're saying here is that they can use their system to actually do in 3 hours what it used to take 3 months. The next thing NVIDIA is working on is climate change and including plans to build Earth 2, building a digital twin of the Earth in the in Omniverse. The world's most powerful AI supercomputer will be dedicated to simulating climate models that can predict the impacts of global warming in different places across the globe. Understanding these changes over time can help them plan and mitigate these changes at a regional level. One great example I always think of is, because I'm from South Florida, is Miami in particular, where they're having to essentially go underneath Miami and jack up all the buildings like you would see maybe in the Venice canals. Water or saltwater intrusion and water management in Miami and flooding is becoming a year-over-year problem, and they're actively trying to solve it by lifting their buildings up and replanning their roads and doing more canals and levees and infrastructure. They need all the help they can get, and the more that they can kind of plan for this, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, or even 50 years down the road, that's a huge improvement, and that's where NVIDIA is trying to step in. On top of that, they have things like future manufacturing. Researchers are already building physically accurate digital twins of cities and factories, and the simulation frontier is still young and full of potential. Clearly, if you can simulate something and then actually act on it because it was so accurate, that's a huge improvement. So, yep, these are some of the challenges that NVIDIA is taking on, and hey, they have many other projects, everything from bioinformatics, smart cities, trillion atom quantum accurate molecular dynamic simulation. Clearly, what we all do in our spare time. It's all on the table, and NVIDIA is really highlighting how they're trying to tackle these things. So for our next story, and by the way, links to all that and more that I didn't even talk about in the show notes. Let's see. Let's do a feel good story, and then a feel bad story, and then the feel good story, and then the feel weird story, and then the feel scared story. So bad then good, weird then scared. Okay, we got this. So the bad story is that, well, I guess it's not really bad. If you are over a certain age, if you, let's face it, if you're older, you may be one of the many people that are paying for malware. And the sad truth of it is, this is an article from NBC News, but we see it all the time. By and large, you shouldn't really be paying for it. The people that actually need antivirus software, and actually, funny enough, the people that actually need it might actually be the ones paying for it, through basic knowledge of the... Yeah, and actually, should I save this for Scott? Okay, no, we're going to talk about it now, and I'm going to bring it up later with Scott Schober to see what he thinks on this. But my feeling on this is that antivirus is already built into many browsers. They already warn you when there's suspicious links, when they try to redirect you, when they're, when a sender is not the proper sender that they're claiming to be, when there's something strange. It's not 100% foolproof. There's always going to be some that slip through the cracks, and at that point, it becomes the end user. It becomes the individual and their job to say, this doesn't look right. Which should be pretty easy to spot. Everything from typos to long, weird mailing addresses to hovering over links and reading them. There are basic tips that you can follow to make sure that, hey, you're not the one being taken advantage of. Antivirus used to be a huge thing back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, and early 2010s, but by and large, that torch has been picked up by the operating system itself. Apple and Microsoft have both extensively tried to cut down on malware, and of course Google as well. And then you had the fact that, well, yeah, they really don't want your files. They really don't want to surreptitiously monitor your accounts. What hackers are more interested in is the ability to take over your account, impersonate the user, and I actually saw this firsthand myself. A couple of my friends on Instagram actually had their accounts taken over, and they shared posts like, "Oh my God, I'm earning $800 a week by mining cryptocurrency," and I'm like, "Yeah, that doesn't sound like them at all." Well, it wasn't, and I messaged, and stupidly, I actually messaged them directly on the platform, and the hackers blocked me. So yeah. We'll see what happens with that. But still, they want to impersonate the user, get into their social circle, and try to spread bad links or spread ransomware or spread just other malicious stuff. And again, you don't need antivirus software if you're a savvy end user. But hey, many experts think that you don't really need it. So they're saying that... Let's see. So a survey by security.org, a cybersecurity advice website, estimated that nearly 45 million households pay for antivirus software. It also found that people are increasingly more likely to pay for antivirus software the older they are, and that most have been using it for years. The dynamic has been observed in other parts of the technology world, such as people who continue to pay AOL for internet service even though they had other internet providers. Remember the good old days when you had the CDs and the floppy drives from, or I should say the floppy disk from AOL? Yeah, that's long gone, but hey, there were still people that were paying AOL. There were still millions, 10, 20 million people paying for dial-up just a couple of years ago. Dial-up, 1.5 megabits per second. And that was a huge revenue stream for the likes of AT&T and Comcast. So some people just, hey, they get in a routine. It's a monthly bill. They just pay it and they forget about it. They really don't have that much of a need for online, for online shenanigans, and they just don't look and see what else is out there. Same thing with, anti-malware. and antivirus, it was almost mandatory back in the day, but now we have evolved to the point where the operating system, the browser, and more have taken over those security precautions. But hey, they still pay it. They said that McAfee, the once ubiquitous Windows antivirus program, still has more than 20 million paying customers. More than half of the revenue the antivirus company Malwarebytes made last year came from personal users, and a spokesperson from the company said other major antivirus companies, including Norton, ESET, and Kaspersky, didn't respond to email requests for such information. There you go. But trying to stay secure by relying on antivirus software misses the way hackers have evolved. And they're saying, and yeah, that's very clearly true. Your browser, your anti-malware, your antivirus, they can throw up all the walls and hurdles that you want, but if you're determined to click that link, if you are determined to download that and run that exe, if you're determined to get hacked at this point, then yeah, no program's going to save you from your own stupidity. So the article goes into some of the tidbits that we can talk with Scott about, such as using passphrases instead of passwords. So instead of using the password football, maybe use the password football is cool 1 2 3, and football is cool 1 2 3 is much longer and a much more complex password than simply just football. Little things like that can keep you safe. Okay, so with that being said, and of course, antivirus comes with a couple other extra features, but hey, let's just say that services such as Have I Been Pwned and Identity Theft Resource Centers can certainly help with that. But if you want to read more about this, that was just a quick summary. We will include that in the show notes, and also I want to include that for Scott here in a little bit. So we have that one. Actually, perfect. There we go. Now, the feel-good story, and it may not seem like a feel-good at the beginning, but it's actually really cool. More than a third of the world's population have never used the internet, saying that nearly 3 billion people, or about 37% of the global population, have never been online despite the use in, obviously, the pandemic. And why that's good. More people on the internet means a lot of things. Everything from commerce to the spread of ideas to the connections that you can make with people. But really, if you think about it, that's three, let's say you have a project at work and you just can't really figure it out. So you grab one other person, they can't really figure it out. You get the whole team together, you get 5, 6, 7 minds working on it all together. And between all of you, you may not come up with the best solution, but you come up with a solution thanks to the groupthink, the ability for multiple people to come together and at least parse out the best viable option. The internet is much the same way. Despite the way that social media has kind of divided us, having another 3 billion people with their own sets of values and priorities and more just adds that many more people looking at videos, finding out information, just supporting their local community. And of course, hey, that's just more people to connect with, because even though you may not connect with a lot of people, the internet is the way it is, and it's as great as it is because about 5 billion people have been using the internet for the past couple of years. Now, let's face it, in the next 2-3 decades, we're going to see that number almost double yet again for the amount of internet users. It's really going to be an amazing thing. So they said that, and obviously the article goes into the uneven equity of internet access. Poor nations, almost 3/4 of people who have never been online, live in the 46 least developed countries. Younger people, men and urban dwellers are more likely to use the internet than older adults, women, and those in rural areas, with the gender gap more pronounced in developing nations. Poverty, illiteracy, limited electricity access, and lack of digital skills continue to challenge the digitally excluded. There you go. But all of those we're definitely able to overcome them. And hey, let's face it, when we reach a world where everyone has access to at least some version of the internet, love it or hate it, the amount of resources and access to information that third world countries and developing nations can have thanks to things like Wikipedia or YouTube. I've had to fix up houses and just look up YouTube videos on how to do it. Man, they have some of the most knowledgeable people making very concise and really just perfect YouTube videos on how to fix things and everyday things. I've saved myself a lot of time, energy, and money just by doing it myself. Now think about that on a global scale. It's really important. So there you go. That's a feel-good story, and I promise it is. Even though, still there are challenges that we are going to face going into that. The feel-weird story. Elon Musk is back at it again, where, if you don't recall, and this article doesn't really address it, but it's a cyber whistle. And you can see here the tweet from Elon Musk, blow the whistle on Tesla, and it's inspired by the Cybertruck. If you remember the Cybertruck, it's very angular, very triangular in a lot of ways. And it's called the Cyberwhistle. It's a $50 collectible. By the way, already unavailable. So it's already sold out. You had to be there like last night to get your hands on this thing. But yeah, he says, blow the whistle on Tesla. Now, this comes after back in, on November 19th, there were allegations at Jessica Barraza was only months into her job at the Tesla factory when she began experiencing near daily harassment. The work environment became so hostile, it triggered anxiety, leading her to take a medical leave with a diagnosis of PTSD, which obviously that can take the form of a lot of forms. Now, they filed a rare lawsuit against Tesla, alleging that Tesla fostered a climate of sexual harassment in its Fremont, California factory, and she was subjected to catcalling and aggressive physical touching. There you go. So they, she alleged male coworkers picked her up by her waist, just doing really inappropriate things in a facility. Anyways, that happened like 2 weeks ago, or I guess 3 weeks ago at this point. But now Elon Musk is selling a cyber whistle and explicitly saying, blow the whistle on Tesla. As in, they have a whistleblower alleging these kinds of assaults, and now he's selling a collectible whistle so that people can blow it on Tesla. Now, they mentioned that, I imagine, and the author says that it takes a bit of time to design a truck-shaped whistle, so it's likely that Tesla had been planning to sell this, for quite a while, but it appears to have worked. The Cyberwhistle sold out, and as for the Cybertruck itself, Tesla supposedly is over 1 million reservations, but it was quietly delayed until 2022. So, is it in good taste? Absolutely not. Is it classic Elon? Absolutely is. So, he's a troll by any standard. You can't really get too far from it. Okay, so there's that story. Story number, Story number 6? Story number 7, though, and this will be our last story of the day. Our last story of the day, and it has to do with the FBI. And we're not going to have time to get through a lot of this, just due to time constraints. But the FBI had a bit of a leaked document. And what does that leaked document show? Well, it shows what information, and here's the document, by the way, what information the different messaging services provide the FBI when it comes to investigations. And, it goes okay, so the services that were contained in this kind of pamphlet, and this is from earlier this year, January 7th, 2021, include Apple iMessage, Line, Signal, Telegram, Threema, Viber, WeChat, WhatsApp, and Wickr. So if you use any of those, they are subject to some form of cooperation with FBI. Now, some of the ones that people really picked up on were Apple iMessage and how much they were, kind of subject to it. Honestly, after reading what was available, that fits perfectly with what we assumed before. And it's that if it's on your device, it's encrypted, it's behind lock and key, and Apple cannot have access to it. But if you back up your iMessages to the Apple cloud, then the FBI can subpoena that information off of the iCloud, and they would get a majority of the message contents delivered to them, including things like who sent them, the subscriber, stuff like that. Now, they said that, and obviously under search warrants, they can render backups of your target device. If they use the iCloud backup, the encryption key should also be provided with content return. Can also acquire iMessage from iCloud returns if target has enabled messages in iCloud. So the long and skinny of that one is, if you use iMessage, don't connect to the iCloud, and hey, you'll be much more less prone to government scrutiny. So there you go. Line is about the same way, maximum 7 days worth of specified users' text chats. And you can receive through a warrant video, picture files, location, phone call, audio, and such data will not be disclosed, but you can receive up to 7 days of text through a government warrant. And it goes through kind of piece by piece, not going to go through all of these, but they said that of note, the table above does not include details about Keybase, a recent end-to-end encryption service that has been gaining in popularity. The service was acquired by video conferencing software Zoom in May 2020. And obviously, Zoom has said that they work closely with law enforcement. Honestly, just know that if you're using a service, and especially if it's mainstream, big company, millions of dollars in revenue or billions of dollars in revenue, they're going to work with law enforcement. No company that has gained any kind of size is ever going to look at law enforcement and go, oh, heck no, we're not disclosing anything about ourselves. No, that's not the way this works. And just know that, hey, if you're going to creep, don't do it on your phone. Your phone is going to be the biggest tattletale there will ever be. So everyone, that's about all the time that we have for today. Again, sorry we had to kind of cut it short, although even cutting it short is still a 30-plus minute podcast. So everyone, we hope that you enjoyed that. That was the headlines for today. And if you want to find out more, you can, of course, head on over to computeramerica.com. We're working on some things over on the website, so apologize for our dust, but we're trying to make it the best experience possible for a soft relaunch in January. So everyone, thank you for tuning into the program. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.